My project is called Photo Album. This project is inspired by my childhood. I always thought my childhood was a bad childhood. My parents always work in another city. So when they need attention and love most, I was often sent to different relatives' homes, and I felt very insecure. When I'm lucky, I'll live with a relative who loves me and have a good time. But most of the time I'm unlucky and I'll live with a relative who doesn't have much patience for my existence, had an unhappy time, and most importantly, because of my lack of parenting. I became a rather naughty kid. I became unlikable and had a hard time becoming friends with my peers. This made my childhood difficult and lonely. And my childhood also had a huge impact on my upbringing. For example, it caused me to have a terrible relationship with my classmates in school for a long time. Either someone bullied me or I bullied people, and it took me a long time to learn how to make peace with people and make friends. As my life experience increases, I hope to get rid of the shadow of my childhood experience. It is impossible to completely forget my childhood. So my original intention of doing this project is to reflect on the causes of these events by recalling various events in my childhood, the reasons and the consequences. I hope to soothe the pain left by my childhood in this way, and become a stronger and gentler self. I need to record my childhood stories in words. In terms of writing, a Taiwanese writer, San Mao, gave me a lot of inspiration. She has a book called My Baby. In this book, she superficially records the origins of various items in her home on the internet, and actually uses the origins of various items to tell her past life experiences. Inspired by her, I decided to show my childhood to the audience through some objects I had in my childhood or some people I met in my childhood. So now my way of working is to first write down the stories I want to present. These stories are all independent and centered on different protagonists. Some of the protagonists include the turtle I raised when I was a child, my father's goldfish, and my rabbit. And my treasure chest, which is a shoebox that I used to collect all kinds of beloved objects when I was a child. I will write more stories, show these stories to my family and friends, and then pick some of the funniest. I will create different illustrations for each of these stories to form my childhood photo album. Interestingly, when I discuss my childhood with my family, I find that sometimes our memories are not the same. I am not a perfect victim. I also often do bad things, such as killing my father's goldfish, beating my cousin, and other evil deeds. Of course, I will never do these things now, and I will record these bad things, because the world of children is not all innocent, kind and happy, and children have never experienced education. People without socialization, they can't distinguish between good and evil, and they just act according to their own nature. I think they have the nature of a beast. So good and evil exist in children at the same time. I would probably use the art style of Gorokawa, which comes from Japan, where Guro means grotesque and Kawa means cute. It combines cute visuals with grotesque elements and a sickly humorous style. A Gorokawa character can be very cute, which again has to do with gore and a certain common phobia. In this style, characters often have a cute appearance but commit acts of violence and cruelty. I think this style is very suitable for the theme I want to express, because children and childhood always make people think of very cute scenes, and what I want to express is the disturbing and frightening part of childhood. So the combination of cuteness, the Gorokawa style with grotesque elements can express my theme well. Some of the pictures I am currently drawing. The first one is my birthday party. Once my dad promised to hold a birthday party for me. We agreed that when I come home from school, I will see it decorated with ribbons and gifts room, but when I returned home full of hope, the room remained the same. It turned out that my father just said it casually. Although my father bought some ribbons to decorate the room with my insistence, I can never forget that I was disappointment. This one is the story of me and my rabbit. Once I raised a little rabbit, I played with him all the time, so that I forgot to do my homework. My father was very angry and threw the rabbit out of the window of our room at that time. Our family lived on the 5th floor. Later, I went downstairs to look for my rabbit, and found that my rabbit was dead. There was a garden downstairs. I buried my rabbit in this garden. Some flowers were folded in the garden and placed in front of his grave, and a small funeral was held for him. The third picture is the scene where I live in my aunt's house. This aunt is my mother's brother's wife. He doesn't like me, and I don't like him. So our relationship is very bad, so I imagine myself making one out of cardboard boxes house. This is what I am currently working on. I have spent a lot of time on Monday projects in the past few weeks, and now my Monday projects are basically completed, so I will work more on this project later. And I will continue to write my sketches. I hope to integrate more Gorokawa style and add more fantasy elements. I also hope to try to use photo collages. I make my mother memorized a lot of photos of me when I was a child. I believe these can greatly help me complete my work, no matter what the final form of my creation is. I will keep the hand-painted texture.